It is February 6th, 2026. If you were online yesterday, you saw something that looked like a car crash, a Super Bowl halftime show, and a scientific breakthrough all happening at once.
It was a lot.
In just 24 hours, we got a marketing grenade during the game, two massive AI models dropped within, minutes of each other, and a CEO meltdown online.
It really was Kendrick versus Drake, but for code, it was absolute cinema.
It was.
But if you strip away the drama and the memes and all the theatrics, the actual tectonic plates of the tech industry shifted yesterday. The tools we were all using on Wednesday are now basically antiques.
That is what I want to figure out today. Welcome to the deep dive. I want to slow down and really look at this 2026 AI showdown. Not just the noise, but the signal.
And the signal's getting harder to hear. If you were scrolling yesterday, you'd think Anthropic had, effectively killed OpenAI. The whole vibe shift was palpable.
But the reality is...
well, it's messy.
So help me map this out. We're not just going to read spec sheets today. I want to understand the human behavior here.
Right. I think we need to look at 4 distinct layers. First, the business reality, who is actually winning versus who feels like they are winning.
Okay.
Second, the psychological warfare of that Super Bowl ad. Third, the hardware itself, Claude Opus 4.6 versus GPT-5.3.
And
finally, the coffee shop test, which tells us a whole lot about where design is going.
The coffee shop test results were, honestly, they were strange.
They were hilarious.
Yeah.
And very revealing.
Oh, okay, so let's start with that reality check. Because if you exist in the tech bubble or you just read developer forums, the narrative is that Claude is king. It feels like a total takeover.
That is the echo chamber effect, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to distinguish between mind share and market share. Because if you look at the actual data from mid-2025, the gap it's staggering.
How big of a gap are we talking about?
It's a chasm. I mean, OpenAI's ChatGPT has roughly 415 million monthly users.
Wow.
They are entrenched in 92% of the Fortune 500. It is the default utility, like Google.
And Anthropic.
About 15.5 million.
Yeah. Wait, 15 million. That is a 27x difference.
Right. It's not even close. Even niche tools like Perplexity and DeepSeek have more daily active users than Claude.
So
when you see Anthropic coming out swinging like this, you have to frame it correctly. This isn't a heavyweight title fight between equals.
No.
This is a challenger walking into the champion's gym, where the champion owns the building, and trying to start a riot.
That reframes everything. It feels less like a rivalry and more like asymmetric warfare. They have to be loud because they are small.
Exactly.
Yeah.
OpenAI has the data moat, they have the users, the history, the enterprise contracts. Anthropic has the vibe, but vibe doesn't pay for billion-dollar server clusters.
Right.
They need the world to believe they are technically superior to keep their valuation high, even if they aren't the market leader.
So if the user gap is that wide, nearly $500 million against 15 million, does the hype actually matter?
Not for revenue, not yet. But hype drives the narrative, and narrative drives stock prices.
Right. Hype is leverage for the little guy.
Which brings us to how they generated that hype. We have to talk about the commercial.
The Super Bowl ad. I watched this live. OpenAI went first, didn't they?
They did. And it was classic OpenAI. Piano music, safe imagery.
Yeah.
AI helps humanity. It felt like a bank commercial, very corporate.
Very safe.
And then Anthropic.
Then Anthropic chose violence.
They really did.
Walk us through it.
So the scene is just a regular guy talking to an AI on his phone. He asks a genuinely vulnerable question. How do I communicate better with my mom?
Heavy.
Very. And the AI starts giving this sincere, empathetic advice. It's touching. You feel the connection. And then just mid-sentence, the AI pivots.
Oh, I remember this.
It suddenly says, speaking of connections, have you tried this mature dating site?
It was physically painful to watch. The actor just freezes.
He just goes, what? And the AI doubles down. Want me to create your profile? Cut to black.
It was visceral. It played on that uncanny valley feeling where something human suddenly becomes predatory.
It was a precision strike. You have to remember the context, right? OpenAI had just announced they were introducing ads to the free tier.
Right.
Now, they promised explicitly that ads would not interrupt the conversation. There'd just be banners. But Anthropic didn't attack the reality. They attacked the anxiety.
They attacked the nightmare scenario.
Yes. They played on the fear that our private, intimate conversations are just inventory waiting to be sold. It forced everyone to look at OpenAI with suspicion right when OpenAI wanted to look like a savior.
The reaction I saw was totally split. Half the internet called it genius. The other half called it fear-mongering because, technically OpenAI said they wouldn't do that.
It's the gray area of persuasion. It wasn't a lie, but is a simulation of a worst-case scenario. And it worked. It got under people's skin, specifically Sam Altman's skin.
Was it a cheap shot or just smart counter-programming?
It was a marketing grenade. Dishonest, maybe, but effective because it targeted a specific anxiety.
Speaking of getting under skin, let's talk about the CEO response. Sam Altman.
A tweet.
He takes to X. Usually the playbook for a CEO with 400 million users is to just ignore the noise. You don't punch down.
You never punch down.
But he couldn't help himself. He wrote this post defending their privacy principles, which is fine. But then he added this burn. He said, more Texans use ChatGPT for free than the total number of people using Claude in the entire U.S.
It's a brutal statistic, and logically, he is right. He's flexing that data moat we talked about earlier.
But strategically,
it was a disaster. It's a classic example of the backfire effect. The Anthropic ad had, about 2.7 million views online? A decent hit.
Yeah.
Sam's response. That got 8.8 million views.
He amplified the thing he was trying to kill.
He took a joke, albeit a mean one, and replied with a paragraph of statistics. The rule of the internet is simple. If you reply to a joke with a lecture, you just make the joke louder. He signaled that it hurt.
Is there a lesson here for crisis management?
Absolutely. Never reply to a joke with an essay. You just make the joke louder.
So we have the marketing war. We have the ego war. But while all that was happening, the engineers were actually changing the world. Let's shift to the hardware drop.
The real story, yeah.
Thursday morning, 9:00 a.m. Pacific. Anthropic drops Claude Opus 4.6. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, OpenAI drops GPT-5.3 Codex at 10:00 a.m.
Not even, it was like 15 minutes later. That wasn't an accident.
No. Let's look at Claude first. I was reading the specs, and there's one number that it stopped me. A 1 million token context window.
It's absurd.
Imagine a context window of 1 million tokens. That is roughly 750,000 words. You could feed it an entire library of documentation, every code base you've ever written, and a couple of novels, all in one breath.
It changes the fundamental workflow. It moves us from asking questions to processing systems. This is designed for what we call agentic workflows.
Define agentic for us.
Think of it like a team of interns. You don't want an AI that just answers a question. You want an AI that can act. You give it a goal. And because it can hold that massive amount of context, your whole company history in its head, it can execute complex tasks without needing you to remind it of the rules every 5 minutes.
So Claude is optimizing for memory.
Exactly.
Okay, so Claude is the librarian with a photographic memory. But then we have GPT-5.3 Codex. And I have to admit, there is a detail in the source report about this model that it unsettles me a bit.
I think I know where you're going with this.
The report mentions that OpenAI used early versions of GPT 5.3 to debug its own training process.
Yeah.
It's recursive self-improvement.
It is the holy grail and the sci-fi nightmare wrapped in one. It's a feedback loop. The model analyzes its own failures, fixes the code, and then trains a better version of itself.
It's building its own ladder.
Exactly. And the results are undeniable. On Terminal Bench 2.0, which is the hardest coding benchmark we have, GPT 5.3 scored a 77.3%. Claude Opus scored a 65.4%.
So GPT is significantly better at the raw engineering part.
In terms of raw execution, yes. OpenAI optimized for get the code right, Anthropic optimized for understand the massive context.
So if you had to pick a winner based on the drop, who takes it?
Anthropic won the first move excitement.
Yeah.
But OpenAI won on raw engineering metrics.
Okay, we are back. We've talked about the drama and the specs. Now I want to look at the vibe check. Because benchmarks are great, but how does it feel to actually use these things?
Right. The source we're looking at did this fascinating test. They gave both models a really simple prompt. Build a landing page for a specialty coffee roastery in Florence, Italy.
That's it. No design specs.
Nothing. Just build it.
Yeah.
A test of their default personality. What did the AI assume is good?
Okay, so Claude goes first. What's the result?
Claude was very professional, clean. It used SVGs, which are scalable vector graphics, very sharp. It had these subtle bobbing animations. It felt like something a high-end design agency would deliver.
Safe. Reliable.
Very safe, very reliable.
Okay. And then GPT 5.3.
GPT 5.3 built a modern, trendy site, but it included an animated surfboard.
A surfboard. For a coffee shop in Florence, Italy.
Maybe the AI knows something about the Arno River that we don't. But the point was, it made a cool choice. It was trying to be trendy. It prioritized style over logical context.
It's like the AI was trying to impress you with its flair. Look, I can do scroll animations. Look at this surfboard.
Totally.
Whereas Claude was like, here is your business asset, sir.
Exactly. But here is the kicker. Both of them essentially did the job in 15 seconds. The difference wasn't capability, it was style.
Does the average person actually care about the difference between clean SVGs and trendy motion?
No. They just care that the website exists.
Yeah.
Both are magic to a non-coder.
So, zooming out, we have these two giants fighting. Why does this matter to you, the listener? Why should we care about the rivalry?
Because of that word you mentioned earlier, recursive.
The self-improvement.
Yes. The fact that AI is helping build the next AI means the progress is accelerating. We aren't waiting years anymore for these updates. We're waiting months.
And competition is the fuel for that.
Competition is the only thing preventing a monopoly. If only OpenAI existed, we'd have to accept whatever ad model they chose. Anthropic forces them to be better.
Are we heading toward a world where we can't keep up with the updates?
We're already there. The cycle has moved from annual to monthly.
So the big idea here, we have this massive gap between Twitter hype and real-world usage. But the technology itself is accelerating because of this rivalry.
Exactly. The Super Bowl antics are just noise. The signal is that AI is now improving itself recursively. That's the real story.
I want to encourage you to try the coffee shop test yourself. Go see which vibe works for you. I also want to leave you with a final thought. If an AI can debug its own code better than a human, how long until it decides what features it wants to build next?
That is the real question.
Thanks for listening.